What's up, bro?
Hey, hey.
So,
There you
oh yeah, I saw it. I was like, well, of course, as soon as we kick off the show,
are. It
internet
freezes.
issues. But man, I'm excited for this one because different vibe, doing something a little bit different here. No intro, nothing crazy, but I'm excited for this, Dan.
Me too. Me too. I changed the backdrop too. Now there was a guitar right over my head. Now it's
Oh, you're centered. I like that. I like that. Okay,
perfectly
okay,
centered.
that's
So we're good
dope.
to go.
All right, all right. So everyone who's tuning in, it's now Real Estate vs. Tech Unleashed. We're gonna just vibe, have fun, talk, explore, understand what the guest has gone through to be where they're at today, and the intention is to inspire you, enlighten you, and give you some things and some takeaways so you can apply to your business. So who do we have today, Dan?
We got a Mr. Elijah. I think he is.
Looks like a
I
digital
just
creator.
yeah. I
Digital
just
creator.
loving it.
Sell, buy, rent with him. I'm looking at his Instagram right now.
Yeah, looks like Rhode Island.
Yep,
He'll
yep.
be able to.
Newport Beach. I see some dope videos. I was checking out his stuff, and we went back and forth quite a bit via DM because he knew about the rebrand. He kept on asking me like, "What's going on with this rebrand?" I was like, "Well, it's in the works. We'll see how it all plays out." But let's just bring the man in. What's up, bro?
What's going on? How are you guys?
Doing well, man. Doing well.
How things your way?
Can't complain. Just trying to stay busy. Trying to fill the pipeline. Got a couple listings coming up. It's a tough market, you know.
Dude,
buyers.
it is. It is.
Yeah,
Everybody's facing the same, kind of apocalypse.
What do you like? What are you seeing? Are you seeing people just like more questions? Are they just more nervous? Is it because of rates? Like, I mean,
Yeah, there was a mutual understanding that the market was going to be a little bit more positioned for buyers because of interest rates this year. And it turned out to be quite the opposite due to the factor of there being very limited inventory. I don't know if you guys can speak to your markets, but
yeah,
there's not much inventory in Rhode Island. There's about 1,000 to 1,100 properties total, for everything from single families to 2 to 4 units, so on and so forth. But it's just, we went to go see something yesterday with a client in Pawtucket, which is located in Providence County, listed for $499, and it just needed so much work besides the roof, but it had these 2 snowman boilers, which are World War I or World War II boilers. So they're about 80 years old, need to get changed out. They had fuse boxes. They didn't even have regular electrical. Second and third floor needed cosmetic updating. And it's just like the agent said there was 100 people who showed up for the first open house. And the second was, calm in retrospect, but probably there was like 30 people. So you're talking about something that probably needs 40 to 50 grand worth of work, and it's still going to go over asking. With, interest rates being the highest they've been in, 4 years.
Wow. What do you see in your area, Dan? Dan's up in Oregon.
Anything under, like in my price point, anything under 650 is, pretty much pending in a week or 2 weeks.
Low inventory too?
Low inventory. Anything over 650, 750, because we don't have a crazy luxury market here. But if it is a nice luxury property, like even 1.1 to 2, right? They're very rare that we have properties over 2.5 mil.
Yeah.
They're gone too. So it's like even the wealthy people who can pay all cash are eating up supply, and then also the people who are those FHA buyers that were sitting on the sidelines for so long, now they're ready to jump in, and that's it's creating offer competition that was not there the last couple of years. So
interesting. Yeah. And there's all this like 2-1 buy down stuff that I'm hearing about, and all this other stuff. Like, are y'all seeing that being used?
Interest rates, yeah. I mean, it really depends on your situation, but I've been hearing about it more. Adjustable rate mortgages to combat the higher interest rates at 6 and 7, even though a 30-year conventional has dipped, back below the 7%. I'm definitely still seeing people, hop into that 3, 5, 7, or 10-year ARM, at between a 4 to 5% clip to really combat that monthly payment going down. It's definitely, obviously over the past 2020 to 2022-ish, about when interest rates really started to spike, people were just going 30-year fix, 30-year fix, 30-year fix. Now we're starting to see those other loan products get rolled out.
Interesting.
It's been interesting, and I try to preface with anybody when we network with people around the country is that every market is like you're in a very small state, if not the small state, except Washington D.C. and
yeah, smallest.
right. So your market is definitely going to be an indicator market of like what the heck's going on because it's so micronized, right?
Yeah.
You know, I like to think of Rhode Island as a New York and Boston sandwich. It's right between both of them, 3 hours to New York, 45 minutes to Boston, out of Providence. Yeah, you're just seeing a huge influx. You know, I deal with everything from rentals to commercial to multifamilies. And the biggest thing I've seen is people relocating, regardless if it's a rental or buying a single family or a 2 to 4 unit, New York, Boston.
Really? They're moving out of the city.
Yeah, you know, I mean, if we're experiencing this, only imagine what's going on in their markets.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's that I think that cities had their appeal from a real estate perspective. You know, there's two different, I always say there's like 3 or 4 different types of people out there. There's people who want convenience. There's people that want to be proximity to what's going on and people, and they like that big city feel. But also there's a lot of people that like, once COVID happened, their idea of what they wanted has shifted drastically.
Oh yeah. It did for me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want the city feel anymore. Like, my house is ready for COVID 2.0.
I think we also have these. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I could stay here and be good, but go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, you know, we always have these cycles of, you know, I read a long time ago, it was a real estate article about how there's cycles of when people move towards the suburbs versus when they move into cities, and like it's this cycle of timing where people gravitate towards one over the other. And I think that that's what we're in our version. You know, maybe COVID helped speed that up. You know, moving outside of the city, getting more bang for your buck in different markets, working from home, and you know, I just think that's what we're going through.
Yeah, it reminds me of like the bottleneck. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to get dim and grin here, but shit hits the fan. Like, I got an RZR, I got a truck, I got a trailer, I got guns, I got hour and 45 minutes. I'm up north away from everybody. Like, I hit the 17 and I'm good. Like, the big city, I feel like, I don't know. Like, you just get that bottleneck and everyone's fucked.
Yeah.
Like, how you gonna get out? Like, you're not. I don't know. So for me, I feel like I just like to have that space and freedom and opportunity.
Where are you out of?
I'm outside of Phoenix, so I'm 25 minutes from Scottsdale. I'm in Gilbert, so definitely growing. It's like a small city vibe, but like it's growing tremendously. So
yeah, and you know, you guys are so close to everything too. Like, how far are you from Scottsdale? You said 45 minutes?
25.
25. So I mean,
Yep.
I've never been to Arizona, but I've obviously heard of like Scottsdale and Phoenix and.
Yep, not Gilbert. What the hell's that?
What are you seeing right now in terms of the seller perception? Are they still wanting the prices from 2 years ago, or like are you seeing sellers starting to actually be realistic that, you know, prices have come down slightly?
Yeah, I think it's kind of all over the place. I think that, you know, there are the people out there who still haven't caught up, that it's not really that aspirational market anymore. Like, if you're gonna, I always think of pricing as a range, not a fixed number. Sure, you price it at a fixed number along that range in order to get it to the top of the range in terms of getting the highest number. But what I found is there's some sellers who haven't caught up to the mode of thinking where, you know, I need to price this thing conservatively so that I get, you know, the buyers are always going to determine what a house is worth. So if you're pricing it the right way, you're taking care of low-hanging fruit, painting, mechanicals, anything that you can do that'll make your property more enticing, you're going to get that number that you want. But the people who have been aspirational pricing, you know, their properties are sitting 30, 60, 90 days. You know, with the situations I've been seeing with my buyer clients, people have been pricing appropriately so that they're getting, you know, higher numbers. Like, for example, we saw a 3-family right outside of Providence listed at 440. I looked at the comps to kind of give, you know, my buyer a sense of where we should be going over asking. There was a 3-family right down the road. They listed at $399, ended up going for $460. So I understood where the agent priced it. And I was like, look, we really need to be in striking distance between $470 and $480. come to find out, we ended up losing out on the offer. Even
Yeah.
with 30K over asking, you know, the other person had more money down, conventional, and a higher price point, waived inspection. So you're still getting that kind of thing, but I think it has to be if you're, you know, doing all the right things as an agent.
Yeah, no, we're seeing it too with the shift. And, you know, just this morning, you know, I always ask the question, what do you think your property's worth in a listing appointment? And you know, it's not to, you know, just to gauge their understanding of the market and what they probably think. And they were like spot on. It was the first time that's happened in a while.
Wow.
But I just wanted to touch on this point real quick, is that the unrealistic sellers are the ones that are having the hardest point right now, because they're seeing days on market just like skyrocket. So anything that I see over 70 days, I'm like overpriced, horribly overpriced. Wow. Doesn't even matter the condition. Like,
yeah, because I'm still seeing stuff in nice areas that are pretty much turnkey, but they've made the mistake of just not catching up. You know, yeah. I don't know if it's their agent, I don't know if it's their logic, but you know, overpricing is, you know, you have one chance to come out of the gate strong with pricing and marketing. So,
oh yeah, and, you know, it makes no sense because they're talking about the whole downturn and like the crashing market, but there's like low inventory and people that bought their homes during COVID. Like I'm sitting at 2.75. Like I'm not going to do anything. Like I might pull out a HELOC and take that money and invest it in something so I can see some more return on the equity I'm sitting on. But I'm not gonna sell my home. Like listing appointments and people that you're talking to, like say for instance, Dan, like did they buy their house recently, or was this like been at home for like 30 years and like now it's time to downsize?
Yeah, I mean 2014. I think we always say like distressed, divorce, death, tax lien default, you know, business is crumbling, you know, all of those signs of, you know, forced to sell is like want to be marketing to right now, because those are the people that like they got to reposition. Like they're either going to sell and rent, or sell and downsize, or sell and relocate to somewhere cheaper. But very rarely are you seeing somebody sell with a 2.5% interest rate and go buy, and you know, a $700,000 house at 7%. So we've been really focusing on that stuff.
Yeah, which also speaks to the lack of inventory right now. You know, what's behind that? People were selling their homes 2021, 2022 before interest rates had spiked around September, October, is because if you can go from, you know, your current situation and get practically free money between 2.5 to 3.5 or even 4%, you know, it makes sense for you to sell your house, because you're not only getting a lower monthly mortgage payment, but you're also making money on the back end. Whereas now it's like, it doesn't make any sense for somebody to, you know, sell their house, jump into something where they're going to be paying more and burning all their cash, or even renting too. Like renting it's crazy. Like the amount of people, I had 2 rental listings just closed last week. You know, it was a little bit of a slow winter, but as soon as it turned spring, you know, I had probably between 50 and 60 people contact me about my 2 rental listings within a week span after it being slow. You know, I ended up renting them out. So
it's that you know, there's actually pent up rental demand because the prices are so high. So people they're not moving from their current rentals, right? Because they're like, if my landlord's not going to raise my rent too crazy, there's no point. So I think there's this fine balance between all of it. But you know, I was talking to my real estate team a couple of weeks back in our team meeting, and I was like, listen, guys, it still doesn't change the fact that people get bored in their living situation. They get bored with their 2-bedroom house. They want a 3-bedroom house. They get bored, or they a need of a necessity comes up because they just had another kid. Now they need an extra bedroom. Like these life changes, but the psychology and the life change mix is going to equal a booming market. So the more we can nurture customers now, build a relationship with them, just let them know that we are in their phone and we're here to call us when something is going to hit a boiling point or a decision. Like we need to be there.
Yeah.
So that's where we really have been focusing. The marketing is planting like millions of carrot seeds everywhere, as much as possible.
Love that. And that's why I love the technology. You know what I'm saying? I see, Elijah, you are a digital creator and you have some epic content and doing some videos and whatnot. And I was just on social media, and it's funny because I was thinking to myself today, I was like thinking about technology and you know, your pipeline and follow up. I don't really like a CRM. Like I like text message. I use text message. I like DMs on Instagram. I like email, and I like my calendar. Those are like the 4 things that I do. And I was just doing some things, and it was funny. I got a business card from my sister who went to an open house, and it was the Legally Blonde Realtor. And I did a video on basically the blue check mark, right? Because now you could pay Meta $14.99 to get verified. And I think it's interesting because this is like you got to earn it. Now there's no earning it; you just get it. And basically, just because of technology and because of Instagram and that video talking about some relevancy in what's going on with this whole blue checkmark situation, the Legally Blonde Realtor started conversation in the thread. And next, you know, I was like, "Oh, you already met my sister? Are you serious?" Right? And then next, you know, we're DMing each other. She's going to be moving to Gilbert. So for viewers and listeners out there, kind of tying into what Dan was saying, and tech, right? RE versus tech. It's like, dude, social, get on. You know what I'm saying? You never know who will be listening or watching or checking your stuff out, or who Meta will basically recommend, you know, off the algorithm. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't have the blue check mark or whatever.
You gonna buy it?
We'll see. I mean, I don't know just yet. Maybe it could be worth it if it helps with, you know, them always changing the algorithm. Definitely we'll look into it. But I actually just had a woman from Chicago find me via Instagram, and she's like, "Oh, okay. I'm moving to Rhode Island to take on a job." And, you know, we're going back and forth via DM. She comes down here, you know, on a flight, set up some showings for some rentals. She ended up going with like a midterm rental just for a situation so she can get more familiarized with the area. But long story short, my point is, you know, it just speaks to the power of social media. And I just need to figure out how to really hone in on that. Obviously, I need to get better. I always haven't been the most consistent with, you know, social media. Definitely looking into outsourcing that with my videographer and just having him do all of my content, you know, especially with the captions and transitions and so on and so forth. But I like to, you know, set up my social media a little bit differently than most people, you know, show my area, my market, different things to do, not just same old realtor posts, you know, and I think it offers a different perspective of an insight to your market.
Yeah, I agree. And Dan, you do a great job with this. I know you could speak on this for sure, because this guy, Eugene, Oregon, you know, you want an expert. He's like crushing it with his content as far as area specific content, and then getting into probate and all the things that you just mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, I did niching down and also just being a relocation. We're just a big relocation market. A lot of people want to move to Oregon, move to the coast, right? And so I've been really good at Google reviews, Google content, YouTube content. But I think the biggest thing is making sure that like that process is dialed, because like people will do their research with no matter what you do. But if your marketing's not like this really, really dialed in, I don't know how many times I like go to a listing appointment or somebody's going to refer somebody, and dude, they're clicking my email signature. They're checking out my social pages. And I've had people literally say like, I hired you because your website, or I hired you because your marketing and your branding. I hired you because I watch your videos and you know what the hell you're talking about. And I think so many agents are like, I don't want to do video. I don't see any value in it. Or, you know, and they just don't have all of that stuff sitting out in the ecosystem for people to digest. So that's
it's like, what's that one thing? Like you see someone like a one-hit wonder, like they go viral, but like you look them up, they have like nothing. But then you have someone who like has been working their butt off for like years, and they have like this Rolodex of content, and then they go viral, and it's just like, oh, and then next, you know, like that one video will then just trickle down to the other videos. Like, I don't know if anyone viewing or watching, comment below, or if any of you guys, like you get like that one person who like watches one of your videos that hit, and then they like 10 of your things. You're like, all right, you know, and then you like go in and you like their stuff back and like 5 of their photos too. It's like, it's a trickle down effect. I don't know. I see it. And I mean, I met my wife off Instagram, you know what I'm saying? I met Dan off Instagram, you know, I met Elijah off Instagram, you know what I'm saying? So it works. You know what I'm saying? We all 3 wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the DMs. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, how do you dial in your process, Dan, as far as like YouTube and TikTok? Because that's one of the things I struggled with the most, is being consistent across. I looked into some like different platforms and apps that can help me like automate it to a point, but I find like my biggest thing is like just not consistently posting. Like, do post on everything from LinkedIn to TikTok to Facebook, or do you double down on like your YouTube content and Instagram content?
First is calendaring things. So I haven't, people will kill me because I'm not into, like, I have like 3 posts on TikTok. Like, I haven't even opened that can of worms yet, because the true conversion with like YouTube and IG. So I picked 2 platforms. Every coach and marketing consultant says pick one platform and then dominate at it, right? I picked 2 platforms because I knew that long form content and short form content you have to do in congruency. You can share ideas from your long form content to create short term content. So what I'm shooting a video today about in the morning on YouTube may be what I cut up for a reel, but that consistency of having a calendar, and then not aimlessly. I think the biggest aha moment in all of the content creation is that the ideas come to you and you need to write them down when it hits you, because you'll like be like somewhere and you're like, oh my God, that's a good idea. But then like a phone call hits and then you're like completely forget what you were thinking about. But yeah, it's really forming that consistency through the calendar, and then putting money behind it. I want to be honest with everybody. Like, I'm not saying buying followers is like what you should do, but I'm also saying that if you don't promote your content, like, how do you expect more people to see it? Because the algorithm, it was set up to grow their platforms. And then once their platforms got huge, now it's about ad revenue and it's oversaturated. So I try to tell everybody is like, once you get a consistent amount of videos, a consistent amount of followers, now you need to be promoting and boosting and paying to keep growing those channels so that you can keep up with it. And there's a lot of ad spend. I have no problem taking $3,000 a month and being like Instagram, YouTube, Google PPC, video editor, boom. And people are like, I would never spend my commission checks on that. I'm like, yeah, but that's the difference. I have 8 pending transactions. You have 2.
Yeah.
You gotta put your money where your mouth is when it comes to these things. And especially with the millennial generation and generations after that, online presence is huge.
Yeah. Look at Ryan Serhant. I mean, his whole thing is, and the reason why he goes through all the different channels is because he's like, I want to be working with little Susie 10 years down the line. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's 15, she's 12, whatever, right? I want to work with her when she's 24, 25, 26. You know what I'm saying? So like, he's already thinking so far ahead. And one thing, thanks to our sponsor, which is Liftoff Agent that hosts this podcast, marketing positioning is what their specialty is. And so, who is that ideal avatar helps for the viewers and listeners out there. The more deliberate you are with, okay, like, what is that demographic? Dan hit the nail on the head, because there's so much doom and gloom. It's like, hey, let's doom and gloom. Let's just work with these people that are literally feeding into the doom and gloom and then now falling hardship because of it, because they're whatever, looking at the media and they're listening to whoever else, and it is what it is. And then they need to sell because of probate or because of, whatever the case may be, or relocation, which isn't as bad, but maybe it is because they want to stay in California, but they can't afford it anymore. So that's where you could put content out there on YouTube, long form, and be deliberate with what you're talking about, and then pivot. We had a guest on the show. What was it? Levi Lassick, great guest. $100 million she did in transaction volume last year, living in Dallas, Texas, all just around zero ad spend, just organic content on YouTube around living in Dallas, Texas. So there is an organic piece to it, but I feel like you have to be so systematic with your SOPs and your KPIs, and you have to put out so much content. And if it isn't like Mr. Beast quality and like so different and unique, and like you have some type of personality or vibe about you, like, it's really hard. You see like prank videos and like the funny stuff that gets lots of viral views, but it can't be like, in today's video, we're going to be talking about REITs.
Yeah. You gotta separate yourself from, one of the things, I think this is actually how we connected, because I think Luke Fleury, was on your podcast previously when we did a video together, going on the ins and outs of developments and flips, and just having it be a candid conversation and doing stuff like that, like the ins and outs of like real estate that not a lot of people get to see. Like, I think people are I had a conversation with, a local bar owner over here, the past week, and he was saying how a lot of real estate content just bores him because it's just the same old, like, oh, I sold this house, or I'm a realtor. you know, one of the things I think that I did well from the jump, now that I think back on it, is, you know, just doing different content. You know, not necessarily being cringy like when TikTok first came out, but, you know, just showing people the ins and out of your market, things to do, because it's Rhode Island. Not many people even know that we exist.
Yeah.
You know, just showing how beautiful it is, the things to do, showing people different real estate content, you know, dispelling the myths about the market.
I love that.
You know,
Yeah,
take that angle.
People, you know, last thing I want to say is that people, it's just like any topic or just anything, right? You search a hashtag, search something on Google. Like there's people that do it. There's people that are in that space, but the outsiders, they want to see what's under the hood. Right?
Yeah.
They want to see what's under the hood, because we are obsessed with reality TV. We're obsessed with the rawness of people's problems and drama and everything else, right? I wish I could paint this a better picture, but you know, I think the days of making people laugh as a real estate agent, like that stuff's like come and gone. Like it's here and there, but if I see somebody that's just, you know, no offense to the broke agent, I think he's great for the community and making realtors laugh. But like if it was him trying to sell properties, it's a horrible perspective to be like, hey, I'm going to sell with comedy. That shit's going to go away, right? People want to work with experts and they want to work with professionals. And I think you just won't be able to scale if that's your mantra of how you're going to run your business, which is like, I'm just going to make everything a joke.
Yeah, no, I agree. We're going to be at an event called Play Bigger. We had Coach Raquel on the show, and there's the new rapping realtor. You guys probably all seen him, right? He's going viral right now, and it's great. Don't get me wrong. And we're going to have an opportunity, thanks to Raquel and Liftoff Agent sponsoring the event, to get on stage. And the conversation is like a lot of agents out there, and you might be one listening to this right now or watching us, is like, oh, this is the next trend. And then like you want to jump on that trend, or you think that you could rap, or you just want to maybe remix what he did. And that's great, right? But that's a short-term fix for a long-term problem, because the long-term problem is that you're not fucking clear. Like if you're not clear, you're not going to have success. And like that is as simple as like, why are you in business in the first place? What do you want to make? Why do you want to make what you want to make? And once you hit that, like, is that going to make you fulfilled? Like, what's next? Right. And like so many people. So like, that's where it's like, I love how Dan does the interviews of his like vendor partners, because if you're going to work with Dan, like this is the standard operating procedure. These are the things that you need to be thinking about. Like get all the information, then you meet me, and then you're somewhat educated. Then he can fill in the blanks, and then you can see all of the various different individuals he works with. So you can get familiar with his stager or his, you know, whoever it is, painter or, you know, whatever, cleaners to landscapers. And then it helps fill in all those dots. And I feel like a lot of agents out there and might be listening to this right now just aren't clear. And I see like that Legally Blonde realtor, she comes from a corporate law background, and she's crushing it because she has the discipline coming from corporate law to then apply that to the real estate business, just like Dan. Dan comes from corporate and, you know, built businesses. And so that's where I feel like a lot of, you know, the discipline is what helps individuals win from that perspective online. Yeah.
So Elijah, like, where do you, like, leaving this podcast, like, what do you think is like the biggest takeaway from our conversation or this market or just general that you want to share with the audience that I think can help them, you know, move that ball one step forward, you know?
Yeah, you know, I think obviously figuring out what your why is, that way you can put yourself out on social media. And, you know, you're never going to be like Sirhan or another big realtor on social media. But if you figure out what your why is and you stay true to like your core values and putting stuff out that's different and consistent and not something that is going to be in the short-term game, you'll succeed definitely in that social media space, just because that's where almost every industry is going. You know, you see it from these big corporate like Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Chick-fil-A being on TikTok with short-form content. So if you kind of take that model and put it, you know, and it's so cheap too at the end of the day. Like if you think about what it would cost to run a TV advertisement versus what it would be to do a PPC on Google or boosting your Instagram videos or
Fraction.
boosting your YouTube videos. It's so cheap. So, and then
Push it.
yeah, push it. And then lastly, you know, the market's tough right now, so just buckle up for, you know, whatever it's gonna look like.
I love that. Hey, and if you do want to be fucking Ryan Serhant, you got to have a big ass why and be relentless as fuck. Excuse my language. That guy he's nuts. I met him in San Francisco last year, and I don't know. He like almost like didn't have a soul when I looked into his eyes. I'm just like, oh my God, dude, you're something else, bro. Like,
Well, if you're listening to this and you need referrals to Mr. Rhode Island here, hit him up. I mean, this has been a pleasure, and
hit it with
always good to connect with people all over the country.
Of course, appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, thanks for being on our first episode on Unleashed, man. I mean, at the end of the day, we're just gonna have fun with it, right? And went a little all over the place in different things, but I think it tied in nicely as far as like where we're at in the market to technology to where you're at with your business. And we want to have you back on, man. So definitely we'll keep in touch with you, and everyone go follow, check out Elijah, see what he's up to. And then we'll look out for your content, bro. And you got some more supporters out there for you.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me. Would love to come back.
All right, gentlemen. Hit that subscribe button, like and comment. What was your biggest takeaway?
Take care.
Take care.